All right, so I have a spaghetti squash right here. I put this in the microwave whole for 5 minutes. I'm hoping this will help me cut it a little bit easier. They can be difficult to cut, so I like to start by chopping off this end and then just toss it in the trash. And then you want to go lengthwise with your knife and just cut through it. Kind of hot still, so be careful. All right, there we go. So I have 2 halves, and next I need to get a spoon and clear out all the seeds. All right, so I'm gonna move the knife aside, and I have a trash bowl here that I'm just going to use. And I'm gonna grab my spoon and just scoop out all the insides. Mine is kind of hot where I'm still from the microwave, so I'm trying not to burn my hand. So there's one. I'll grab the other one and just empty it out. Move this back out of the way. Okay, so now I have my 2 halves and I want to get them ready for the oven. I'm going to roast them in the oven at 400 degrees for, I don't know, 30, 35 minutes or so. So just drizzle some olive oil on the inside. Sprinkle with some salt, each side with some salt, pepper, and I like to add a little bit of garlic powder. Just a small sprinkle. Next, I have a baking dish. A 9 by 13 baking dish. I put a little bit of water down at the bottom, and I'm going to put them down face down. I'm gonna put them in the oven, 400 degrees for about 35 minutes. You'll be able to tell the peel on the outside will be black, tender, kind of bubbly, and they'll be nice and soft when they're ready. Next, I am going to prepare the chicken breast. So I have 3 chicken breasts. I'm a family of 5. These chicken breasts are thick, so I'm gonna cut them in half. I'm gonna slice them down the middle. I have a paper towel here just to wipe off all the extra moisture. So, okay, first I'll go ahead and I'll just cut off any extra fat pieces off of the chicken really quick. Okay, that looks good. So next, all you have to do to get the chicken ready is you want to get it, hold it with your hand like this, and just place your knife and just kind of slide it through. And then pick it up and then just slide it through. All the way to the end, and now I have 2 pieces of thin chicken. Now that my chicken is all cut up, I have them in a small baking dish so I can season them up. I'm going to give a little drizzle of olive oil. And I'll just kind of move them around. It doesn't have to be perfect. I might need a little bit more on this end. And then you just want to grab your favorite seasonings. I typically like garlic, salt, pepper, paprika if I don't have like an actual seasoning, but this one right here is the McCormick chicken seasoning. I really like this. So I give it a good dose and then you just kind of move it around. Help it spread onto every piece. And turn these around, give them a good sprinkle. You want to make sure you have seasoning on all ends, or sides, I should say. Okay. And the one last thing that I do like to add is a little bit of paprika for color. So let me go grab that real quick.
So here's the paprika. Give them a toss. Make sure all the pieces, especially the ones down the bottom, get a little sprinkle. And you're good to go. This is, and I will give it just a pinch of salt. And I'm ready to take these to the frying pan.
All right, so in the saute pan, I have a teaspoon of ghee. I'm also going to give it a drizzle of some olive oil. And I'm just gonna let this melt down, get nice and hot. I want my chicken to brown up on each side. Okay, so I'm gonna just let my chicken in. And I'm gonna put them in 3 at a time, allowing them to cook on each side and brown, and then I'll transfer them to a baking dish for later. All right, so the chicken is all done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place some tin foil over the top and just let it sit. Don't cut into it, don't do anything, just let it sit so that chicken stays nice and tender. While we're waiting on that, I'm gonna pull out the spaghetti squash so you can see what it looks like. All right, I have pulled the spaghetti squash out of the oven and I'm gonna give it a check. The outside looks nice and tender, so that tells me it's probably ready. And you can just check it by pulling on it, just like that, and it's ready. So you just wanna grab it and just get all the little strands of the spaghetti squash out. And this is what we're going to use as our pasta substitute. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get started on our sauce. This is the same pan that I cooked the chicken in. I did not clean it. I put another teaspoon of ghee. You can also use olive oil, any cooking oil of your choice. So I'm gonna let that get nice and warm. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start adding my veggies that I want to use. So I'm gonna use lots of garlic. This is 2 pretty decent sized cloves of garlic that I chopped up. Just kind of stir that around. Don't let the garlic burn. Make sure you kind of lower the heat on that. And then I'm also going to add some mushrooms. To me, it looks like it needs a little bit more oil or fat, so I'm going to give it just another drizzle of olive oil. Make sure your heat is nice and high. And we want to get these mushrooms nice and caramelized. Give it a sprinkle of salt. And don't mess with them, just leave them, let them cook up. Give them a stir occasionally. Okay, next I am going to add some artichoke hearts from a jar. These are marinated artichoke hearts that I bought from Trader Joe's, and I'm going to use the whole jar. It's okay if you get the juice in there. It's not going to hurt anything. Just adds flavor. Next, some sun-dried tomatoes. I also got these at Trader Joe's. If you can't tell, I love Trader Joe's. And I would say about, I don't know, I like a lot, so a good handful. So I think this would be a really good vegetarian meal. You just leave the chicken out and you can have a really delicious pasta. So just let it go, let it all marinate and cook together. All right, so it looks like my camera cut out on me. I thought I pressed video, but to the mushrooms, I added a half a cup of chicken stock, some coconut milk, and nutritional yeast. And then I'm just gonna let that come to a simmer and a boil. Real quickly, I did add some of this in there. This is not necessary, but I have it, so I just put like a little sprinkle in there. All right, it's at a good rolling boil. I'm gonna lower the heat a little, and I'm gonna add a heaping handful of spinach. And the spinach will cook up really quickly. And I am so upset that my video cut out when I added in the chicken stock. But again, the chicken stock, the coconut milk, it was half a cup of each. And then you just let it come to a boil. And I did use the can. And what I did say is any of these items that I used and the nutritional yeast, you can use, you know, cream instead of coconut milk. You can use Parmesan cheese instead of nutritional yeast. And I will write that all up in the description box of the recipes if you're not doing dairy-free, but that is an option. So this looks good. Now I'm gonna grab some spaghetti squash and put it in. Okay. Just grab all that spaghetti squash. I think half of the spaghetti squash is gonna be good for my family because we are also eating it with chicken. So get it in, mix it in. Oh my gosh, guys, this smells so good. Top this with some mozzarella cheese, some Parmesan cheese, or nutritional yeast if you are not doing dairy. Delicious. All right, guys, I'm going to show you how I plate this up. Just grab a good heaping amount there. I'm going to plate it up two different ways. One with dairy and one without. Add a nice piece of chicken on top. Okay, next I am going to add some of the spaghetti squash mixture. Make sure and get a little bit of everything. Add that. Add your piece of chicken to the top and give it a little sprinkle of Parmesan. And there you go. You have a really yummy, delicious meal, and I don't even think you'll miss the dairy or the noodles. But again, this is just an option if you want to use noodles. If you want to use dairy, you go right ahead. I really hope you guys enjoy this.